Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It is Thursday. This is the NFL show, and oh yeah, it's time to talk some football. Welcome in. I'm Donnie RightSide along with Purviance. We're the NFL team here at sportsbookreview.com. Big time NFL action tonight between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before we get to that, thank you guys for tuning in and watching football with us on our channel on YouTube here. Guess what? 90,700 people have hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done so yet, please feel free to do so right now. Turn the notification bells on because when we go live and talk NFL action, you will get the reminder. And also keep in mind the Pick 6 contest here at sportsbookreview.com. $50,000 up for grabs for the entire season, $1,600 a week. And I'm close to 60% in that contest. And by the end of this thing, I still expect to win it. Well, maybe not. Maybe Kyle. I don't think Kyle's going to pass me this year. Kelsey Kramer, yeah, she'll drive. Give Kelsey 2 more weeks. She's out of this competition altogether. But here we are, ready to talk football, Kyle. It's Thursday. Time to get busy.
Hey, I'm coming off a hot week on that Pick 6. Yeah. 5-0-1. Only the Packers pushed to stop me from a 6-0 week. So I'm coming in hot. I haven't made my picks yet. Haven't been able to. But, of course, I will talk about the ones that I'm thinking about taking here. And how about this? Week 6. Man, time flies during football season, doesn't it? It seems like we were just getting ready for the season. Yeah. Here we are, week 6. Got some teams with some COVID issues. Of course, I'll have fun tonight cheering against Donnie's team. It's one of my favorite pastimes. I think I cheer against Donnie's teams more than my own teams now, more than for my own teams. So I like that quite a bit, even though it is a little bit scary to take the Buccaneers to cover tonight. Some interesting stats on him covering in primetime non-playoff games. I think it's something like 9 straight non-playoff primetime games with Brady as the favorite. He has not covered the spread. So some interesting happenings tonight. Looking forward to it. Let's rock and roll.
All right, let's have some fun with this game tonight. The Buccaneers on the road versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Tom Brady comes to town. Maybe a little bit of an issue here with his throwing thumb. Right now, as you look at the Buccaneers, they're really not putting too much emphasis on that. So I do expect Tom Brady to be fine for this football game. 3 really good wide receivers, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, along with Antonio Brown. No Rob Gronkowski this week, so maybe more eating in that slot position here from Antonio Brown. 2 decent running backs. We have a good offensive line here for the Buccaneers. They should control the tempo tonight. And I haven't swayed off this all week, Kyle. When you take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles on their season, again, beat this dead horse here. Very good against Atlanta, who stinks. Okay against San Francisco, who's average. Okay against Carolina, end up winning that game against an average football team. The 2 teams with the upper echelon offenses, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys, did a lot of damage against the Eagles. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to me, Kyle, every bit as those two teams are on offense where they can score and get up the field. The Eagles do have a decent secondary. They're actually top 5 in the NFL at pass yards allowed, which is fantastic. The only issue here is they give up so much in the running game that maybe you center on Leonard Fournette today and continuing to move the football. Weather conditions here in the city tonight, Kyle, they're beautiful. It's like 75 degrees right now, very light wind, no precipitation tonight, so it is scoring conditions. Remember a couple weeks ago, Kyle, we were talking about the Chiefs and the Eagles game, and I said, there is no better day. If you said, I need a perfect day for scoring conditions, that was it. And look at all the points they scored. 42-30 final, 72 points. So I think you get 72 tonight? Probably not. But Tampa Bay should be good to go. So let's start to break this game down and have a little bit of fun with it. As I just said, my preamble, when you step up in competition, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a way better team than the Eagles. The one way you can get after the Buccaneers is through the air. Now, which Jalen Hurts are we going to see? The one that passed against the Kansas City Chiefs, which everybody is able to do, or the one last week for 3.5 quarters going, this guy needs to get cut. Where the hell is Gardner Minshew at? This guy stinks. Mm-hmm. They block a punt. They bail the game out. They win. So which team are we actually getting tonight? That Jalen Hurts from last week or the one that's able to pass against a bad defense? Because the secondary can be had. Total in this game, Kyle, 52.5, 53 in that range. Buccaneers favored by 6.5. I got to tell you, I think the Buccaneers do win this game. We're going to get into it in a little bit more detail here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. A couple big injuries on that defensive side of the ball for Tampa Bay. No Levante David's a big loss. He's their fast. He's an absolute beast. I mean, White is explosive as well. And, of course, Carlton Davis going to IR. So now Richard Sherman is filling in that bad secondary for Tampa Bay. And you touched on it. Tampa Bay has allowed the most passing yards of any team in the league through the first 5 weeks and also the fewest rushing yards. So the recipe for the Eagles is simple. The ball is going to be in Jalen Hurts' hands. He's going to have to throw the ball that they're going to blitz. One thing I do like, just sort of shifting over to some props here. I took Jalen Hurts over. It's actually moved down to 41.5 rushing yards. Yes, Tampa Bay has a good rush defense, but that's not your typical type. They're good against turning around, handing it to the running back and stopping him. When you're going to blitz a mobile quarterback and you're going to play that man coverage or that 2-deep zone, If you escape that blitz and get out of the pocket, you're going to have big running lanes. Jalen Hurts is going to have to do it with his legs. He's going to have to do it with his arm. And the loss of Levante David certainly helps that. I considered, they talk about the over 284 passing yards as a prop. I considered it. He's done it a couple of times this year against some lower tier defenses. Just makes me a little bit nervous. Your favorite weatherman saying 15-mile-an-hour winds with some stronger gusts. I don't know how accurate that is. I know I'm just the deputy here, and I'm reading your favorite weatherman. I know the guy you go to for all your weather information, saying some stronger gusts. So maybe that makes me a little bit nervous here. In terms of sides, when I pick this, I don't want to take Tampa Bay on the road by a touchdown or more. I'd rather get under a touchdown. So for me, I focused on that first half. I do think the Bucs come out and start fast. So I took the Buccaneers -4 in the first half, did a little sprinkle on that, hoping that comes through. Been burned by that a couple times this year, but I think they can get there. But one thing I'm really looking at is Jalen Hurts running tonight. He should be their leading rusher. And I like some of those, like the Kenneth Gainwells out of the backfield, etc. These receiving backs. The running backs are not going to run for a lot, but they should be involved in that passing game tonight with that blitz at Tampa Bay. So that's sort of where I'm focusing on this game.
I don't know whose weather report that was, but I'm looking right here. It's supposed to be 70 degrees at kickoff with 3-mile-an-hour winds.
Perfect. Okay, that's perfect. Well, it's your favorite. It's your favorite. Good old Kevin Roth, always giving us those accurate weather reports that always burn us.
I mean, I don't understand. I'm close to the stadium as is. I just walked my dog a couple minutes ago. Unless there's a tornado whipping up here, it's absolutely beautiful outside. So I don't know anything about the weather conditions being an issue tonight. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles, where they play, they are close to a section called Point Breeze for a reason. It's always a little bit windier down in the stadiums than it is, in Center City or out in the suburbs. I understand that. But in no way, shape, or form am I looking tonight as we're going to have weather conditions that would be anything that would be inducive or, not conducive to scoring. It's beautiful out here. So if we look at the game itself here, Kyle, the Philadelphia Eagles on offense. Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. He should have time to throw. Why? Because he makes his own time to throw. It's just a matter if he's going to be able to hit his wide receivers and make the correct reads. Because as we said, he was abysmal last week for 3 quarters, woke up when it was time to play football, and the Eagles walked away with the victory. You can't get away with that tonight. But I really want to center this game around the offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's the best player to ever live in the NFL. He seems like, Father Time is not catching up. Now he has the thumb injury. Okay, well, Tom Brady's had a ton of injuries. And I always bring up the one where 3 years ago, 2017 season, where he sliced his, thumb open in practice and they crazy glued it shut. They beat the Jaguars, then threw for like 500 yards against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I don't anticipate any problems. That's a really good offensive line. They should keep the pass rush off of Tom Brady. Leonard Fournette's an okay running back. Ronald Jones is an okay running back, but they should move the football. Why? Because everybody runs against the Philadelphia Eagles. They drop back to 2 safeties. Their 2 linebackers for the Eagles are horrendous, but the corners and the safeties are okay. So maybe they can limit the damage in the passing game because the Eagles' MO right now is we'll give you as much as you want underneath. You're just not going to beat us up top for the big play. But these are 3 all-pro caliber wide receivers that are coming at you with a great quarterback and a good offensive line. There should be points scored tonight. The team that I'm actually worried about scoring points is the Philadelphia Eagles, not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But also keep in mind, if you're looking at a point spread a team total, 22.5, 23 in that range, sure, they should get there. Because if Tampa Bay, Kyle's in the mid to high 20s, the Eagles are going to have to return fire. And one thing we know about the Eagles, down the stretch in games, whether they're winning, tied, or getting blown out, they still show up in the fourth quarter. Some of the factors that we talk about, like the Detroit Lions. There's no quit in this football team, which is a good thing when you look at A, get it back to a cover, or B, maybe get it back to a team total. But the way I look at this, and we're going to start some props in just a few moments, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are better. And this year, it seems like the better teams are going on the road on Thursday night, and they're winning football games. Why? Because they're the better teams. Flip this one around, Kyle, whereas this was the Eagles going on the road to Tampa Bay. We'd have a 10-point spread and be like, there we go, revenge of the home team on Thursday nights. But sometimes these teams are so much more talented going on the road. I think the Eagles will hang around with this one, but I do think Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the win. I do think it'll be close to the total, but I'm looking a little bit more into the prop bets here, Kyle. I have a couple of them that I like. Earlier this morning on the FanDuel Sportsbook, Antonio Brown receptions yardage, over 63.5. With no Rob Gronkowski, you're still going to look to throw the football over the middle. That's where he does his damage. I think Antonio Brown has a chance to have a good game. Also taking a look at Leonard Fournette. Everybody runs on the Eagles. And if he's going to get the market share of the backfield, Kyle, 62.5 rush yards is not a lot for a starting running back against the Philadelphia Eagles. Chuba Hubbard dominated last week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire the week before. The Dallas Cowboys, everybody ran wild on them at that point. So that's the perspective I look at it from that angle. And also, an anytime touchdown prop here. Not looking at it from my perspective, Kyle, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but for the Philadelphia Eagles side. Dallas Goedert is not going to play in this game. Was not cleared off the COVID list at 4 o'clock, so he's inactive, which means Zach Ertz is going to get what? 75, 80, 85% of the tight end snaps and all the red zone targets. I think he has a really good chance to score a touchdown tonight, Kyle. I'll take him at plus 200. We'll go over the odds boost in a minute, but that's where I'm looking on this game tonight here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I think you touched on it beautifully, talking about how the Eagles perform in the fourth quarter, which is why I stuck to the first half, the truest form here. I don't want, the Bucs up 33-20 late in this game. Jalen Hurts leads them down the field and they score a meaningless touchdown and I lose my cover here. So I like the -4. You can get some 3.5s in that first half. I think that makes a lot of sense. I just don't want to get reamed by that backdoor cover, pun intended. Absolutely. So I'm with you. I did a little sprinkle on that first half. But where I'm really at is on a couple of props. I mentioned the Jalen Hurts rushing prop, and that's just because the ball is going. You take a starting running back like Miles Sanders, and if you look at his prop today, the over/under in carries is 8.5. Think about that. For a starting running back, his carries are over.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. He plays 66% of the offensive snaps, and I agree with it because, for number one, Nick Sirianni doesn't seem to have any appetite to hand the ball off to Miles Sanders. He's quickly becoming one of the worst head coaches in the league, if not the worst. He is really bad.
Got a couple
you mentioned that defense, how they keep those two safeties back, and you watch them. They will not make an adjustment. If that's not working, they will continue to do the same vanilla defense over and over and over again. And if you drop your safeties back and leave the underneath open, there is nobody in the history of this game who likes taking the dump off more than Tom Brady does. So I think it's going to be a long day. You could see a lot of longer drives. You probably won't see big, massive plays over the top because the Eagles don't let that go. So exactly. So it sort of makes me worried a little bit and makes me lean sort of to the under overall. But for me, it's Bucs in the first half. The props, I mentioned the Jalen Hurts rushing prop. I think he gets over 45 yards rushing in this game. And another one I like is Kenneth Gainwell. So if they're not going to be able to run the ball, they're going to throw the ball to these running backs. Kenneth Gainwell in the last 3 games has 15 targets. You're getting over 24.5 yards receiving at -114. I think he gets to 25 yards receiving. He might see a few more snaps this week on a short week. We know it's a brick wall up front, and you're not going to be able to run. Little swing passes to Gainwell. 15. If he gets 5 targets tonight, he breezes past that 24.5. So I like that quite a bit as well. I did consider the Jalen Hurts passing props, but 284. He's only done it a couple times this year. It is the right matchup, but now you're trusting. I don't think we could call the Eagles receiving core good. I think that would be a stretch.
Inexperience is probably
is probably the best way to do it here. So that makes me just a little bit nervous. I thought about Giovanni Bernard over 12.5 yards receiving. Now, he doesn't get a ton of snaps, but when he does, he can get there. And again, if they're going to play the safeties back and not give the big plays, when Giovanni Bernard comes in, he's going to be wide open over the middle. It's one catch, so over 12.5 for Bernard at -125, I think makes a ton of sense as well.
Yeah, the lower level props here for the running backs are hilarious. Even like the backup guys who are supposed to get carries, Ronald Jones, like 14.5 or whatever, 15.5, Gainwell 14.5. They're astronomically low, which just tells you a sign of the times here in the NFL. Also, I'm on my application that I pay for an application that tells me wind. So I'm going tonight at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm looking right at it right now. At 8 o'clock tonight, the winds of 4 miles an hour with a chance of a gust up to 10. Perfect. And if we take a look at 11 o'clock when the game ends, the wind's coming in, Kyle. You know why? Because the wind goes from 4 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour and a gust of up to 8 miles an hour. So watch out for those supremely windy conditions. I always love bad information is my favorite thing, particularly on the weather. It's so easy to go find correct weather forecast, and you just see nonsense stuff come out all the time. Remember the one at Dodger Stadium the other night? Oh, my God, wind's blowing. So I go to my application. I'm like, the wind is blowing in. What's the game end up? 1-0 because nobody could hit a baseball more than 250 feet. So I know we like that, Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when you're supposed to be this renowned weather person and you have all these things, like, get the hell out of here. That's why I'm glad you're over there. I'm looking, I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like that's what's actually happening. So I'm not exactly sure why that's up there, but neither here nor there. But yeah, Bucs first half, like some of those props. I will say, as I look, a guy like, Zach Ertz's numbers at 46.5. He's just not that explosive. It makes me a little bit nervous. Maybe a little sprinkle on OJ Howard with no Rob Gronkowski. He's going to see more snaps. He's at 13.5 as well. I could see him getting to 15 yards on one play. More of an explosive tight end than Cameron Brate will be. So some of those lower receiving numbers, Gainwell, Bernard, OJ Howard, and I like that Hurts rushing prop as well.
All right, let's go Eagles. And also, Esteban, if you're listening back there, throw up the odds boost here because I have one of my favorites here tonight. Now, they do have the prop for, one or more touchdown passes in each half for each one of these quarterbacks. But I usually like to do those when their odds boost. The last one I took, which is on Sunday Night Football, did cash in the fourth quarter. Thought it should have cashed a little bit earlier than that. But anytime you're going to give me Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen each to throw a touchdown in each half, that's ridiculous. Took that prop and it hit. They do have it tonight, so I like that a little bit. But I'm going to look at this one here tonight on the FanDuel Sportsbook. I already bet it, $50. It's at a plus 280 price. The Eagles and the Buccaneers to each score one rushing touchdown per team and one passing touchdown per team. So you're probably looking at this going, all right, they're at least going to throw one touchdown apiece. We know that. So you just need it to line up where you get like a 1st and goal at the 1 yard line, Leonard Fournette, a quarterback sneak out of Tom Brady on one side, and then for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, as you talk about, Kyle. You like his rushing prop over? How many times do you see him scrambling around in the red zone here? A simple read option, which he either hands off to a running back or keeps himself, might be able to walk in. But that's a 280 price. So one touchdown apiece, rushing and receiving, for not in the half, just in the game itself. For each of the Eagles and the Buccaneers, I'm on that at plus 280. Any odds boost that you're looking at for tonight's football game, Kyle?
Well, now that you told me the win's not going to be bad, I like that quite a bit. So I'm looking at when Brady and Hurts to both pass for 300-plus yards is at plus 300. I think they could both get there relatively easily. So I kind of like both. It's really not a stretch with that secondary for Tampa Bay. I guess the only concern would be, do the Bucs have so much success running the ball and Brady's thumbs maybe bugging them a little bit where they hand it off more than usual? So that would be the one hesitation there. But, I mean, Brady's on fire. That offense is on fire. I know the Eagles secondary has some inflated numbers, but you got to remember the competition that they have played. Vontae Maddox has been very good in the slots. Darius Slay is putting up Darius Slay type numbers from a couple of years ago. But you're right. When you see them against elite offenses, not so great. I consider Tampa Bay to be an elite offense tonight. I think both quarterbacks get to 300 yards. I'll take that plus 300.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It does, because when you take a look this morning when I was going over the FanDuel numbers, Kyle, like you see that as a nice boost. Well, Tom Brady's prop was 300.5 yards. Jalen Hurts' was 285. It's not like, hey, Jalen Hurts is 215.5. He's got to get to 300 yards. Obviously not the case here. All right. So Thursday Night Football, let's put that bad boy to bed tonight. I do expect the Bucs to win. Won't be happy when they do, and I certainly will be rooting on my Eagles. But I do think there's some nice prop bets that we can get down on and make some money overall tonight. So your last look at this game tonight, Kyle, what do you got?
Taking Bucs -4, Hurts over 41.5 yards rushing, Gainwell over 24.5 yards receiving, and I might do a little light sprinkle as well on that Bernard over 12.5 and O.J. Howard over 13.5 with no Gronkowski. And the way the Eagles play with those safeties back, the middle of the field, the underneath stuff, could be at a premium tonight, and we know Tom Brady loves taking advantage of that, so I think that makes a ton of sense as well.
All right, let's get to it. Sunday morning. Might as well be Saturday morning here. Dolphins and the Jaguars. Let's talk about this one. Tua Tagovailoa back. Expected to be the starter going up against Trevor Lawrence. This game will be in London at 9:30 a.m. We take a look across the board here. The lines -3 as a favorite to the Miami Dolphins. Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins total in this game up from 44.5 and 43.5 all the way up to 47.5 and 47s across the board. I actually do think we get some points, but I just saw a report coming back out. Just Miles Jack has been reported out for the Jaguars. They stink as is on defense, and that might not have been tough. But also here, I'm trying to find, because I thought I saw the Dolphins were leaving. Xavier Howard and Devontae Parker probably not going to play this weekend for the Dolphins. So down a good cornerback and a good wide receiver. Not the best game overall, but I got to tell you, Kyle, when you take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars on defense, they don't stop anything. So Tua Tagovailoa coming back in this game, I think he can do some good things. But then again, you just take a guy right off the scrap heap and just, hey, get out there and play. You haven't been out there a few weeks, and you're going to be down some weapons at wide receiver, and it's just a sloppy game. And this is the second week in a row, Kyle, where I start this off by saying I actually wanted to try to find a way to take the Miami Dolphins team total over. Then I realized it was over in London, and I said, you know what? I'll wake up, I'll get ready for the closing line, I'll have this game on, and not care one iota about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say, if I'm going to a side, both these teams stink. Okay. And I don't think Tua's all that good. I'm not sure how much better Tua is, honestly, than Jacoby Brissett. I haven't seen anything special out of him on the NFL level outside of that game last year against the Cardinals, which was a lot of fun, where he and Kyler Murray were going back and forth. That's probably the only time where I can really say, wow, Tua looks like Tua's supposed to look. The Jacksonville Jaguars' only way to stay in this game is to run the football. The Dolphins are absolutely putrid against the run. Urban Meyer needs to pull his head out of his ass and his hands off the other woman's ass and run the ball with James Robinson and Carlos Hyde. Will he do it? That's the problem. The reason I lean the Dolphins here, and I won't have any money on this game, this will not be part of any pick six. I hopefully will not see much of this game. But the one thing for me is I trust Brian Flores to get his team across the country in a different city in London and have his team more organized and ready to play than I do Urban Meyer. I don't think Urban Meyer is a good leader. He doesn't understand the NFL game. It seems like he's already losing that locker room, and now he's got to take a young, inexperienced team from Florida over to London and play a game. I think that's advantage Dolphins there when you just look at the overall organization and the structure of the team. Is that a great way to handicap games? No. Does this game stink? Yes. But I would lean the Dolphins just because I think they'll be a little bit more organized here and just have a better understanding of what needs to be done to get ready to play.
I mean, it could be, but we are a fumble away in opening day from both of these teams not having a single win on the season.
Exactly.
I'm glad. This is why we import these games, or export these games, I should say, over to London and say, have fun. You guys will cheer it on, and we'll laugh and be like, man, those two teams stink. So let's get to the main part of the card here to get that out of the way. Because again, we have to pick every game. The Bucs versus the Eagles, the Miami Dolphins against the Jaguars, because I'm on the same wavelength. I just trust Miami a little bit more than I do the Jacksonville Jaguars at this time. We'll see what happens in that game. 1 o'clock, 2:53, 2:54, Houston and Indianapolis. Davis Mills versus Carson Wentz. 10s now across the board, Kyle. We saw 9.5s for much of the weekend. It's now up to 10, and I agree with it here. I really do. If we're looking that you want to see the Indianapolis Colts, because I think they're turning the corner here, getting a little bit more healthy as we go. Carson Wentz played a good football game last week. They should have won that game. If they had a kicker, they beat the Baltimore Ravens, which would have been a big boon. But now you're getting outside of that ridiculous schedule that they had to start, and now you're getting some of these softballs coming to town, and Houston is a softball. I think the Indianapolis Colts put this team away fairly easily. Is it fun in the NFL laying 10 points? No. But again, the 10 points is there for a reason. If we have our old school thinking 10 is too many in the NFL, then everybody would be a billionaire because you would just take the 10 points and win every single time. That's not the case. I think they do roll in this game, being the Colts. And also keep in mind, outside of that first game where the Houston Texans won against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Kyle, they average, being the Houston Texans defense, giving up over 30 points a game. Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts roll this weekend. I think they win and get the cover. But more importantly, Kyle, you know what I like in this game? I like the over 42.5 and 43 in this game.
Yeah, and look, the Houston Texans offense showed a little life last week with Davis Mills at quarterback. He didn't look terrible, which is an encouraging sign. So I agree. I think that 42 is a little bit low. Both teams should be able to score here. We know I'm seeing some 43s and 43. And it's low. It's super low, and I think they can get there. It was encouraging to see the Colts offense put up over 500 yards against the Baltimore defense on Monday night. Now they're at home, controlled weather situation in the dome. Yeah, I agree with you. There's no way I'm backing Houston to cover anything. I know they covered last week, so I would lean the Colts if I'm taking a side. Am I going to touch that 10 points? Probably not. But I'm with you. I see the Colts scoring relatively easily against Houston, and that Colts defense is not all that great. They can be beaten in the secondary, as we saw from Lamar Jackson in the second half of that game on Monday night. So I'm with you. If I'm betting this game, I'm taking the over 43.5. If I had the proverbial gun to my head and I'm taking a side, of course, I back the Colts. They're a better team, a better head coach, better quarterback, better running backs. I mean, outside of Brandon Cooks, better wide receivers, a better defense. All signs point to the Colts here. Hard to back the Texans in this spot, but I like that over 43 for sure.
Yeah, I think they do score points. And also, we don't like Davis Mills per se as a quarterback here, but at least he has a couple starts under his belt. And you saw last week, Kyle, versus New England, he was willing to take deep shots. And that's good for a rookie who's usually like, oh my God, pass rush, check down. He threw some deep shots and hit some of those. That's what you need. And that's sort of running mate here with Houston. Get Houston in the teens here. And I think the Colts will continue to press that lever and get close to 30 points in that game with an easy, I don't want to say an easy cover, but anytime you win by double digits, it should be fairly easy. Let's get to the next game at 1 o'clock. Time to bang on the Bears here. 2:55, 2:56. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers survived last week against Cincinnati on the road. Now they're going to go on the road again to a team that they usually handle relatively easy with the Chicago Bears. This line's starting to get away from us now at 5.5, primarily across the board. Why? Because you had another running back down. You're down to a third-string running back in Chicago. And quite frankly, you have basically what equivalents to a third-string running back also playing quarterback. Now, not to say Justin Fields won't be a good quarterback in the NFL. I think he will. Matt Nagy, that entire ownership needs to leave town and let him get somebody that's going to be able to groom him and put weapons around it. The Chicago Bears, you want to go on like Ripley's Believe It or Not. And I'm dating myself right now with that, if anyone's ever seen that show, where they show stuff that makes no sense. Look at the Bears box score last week and tell me how they won by double digits against the Vegas Raiders. This team is, and I used this, a couple times this week. The Bears offense is like Army and Navy in college football. Atrocious throwing the football. The only prayer they have is to run it. Now they have no running backs. So what am I led to believe here? That I'm going to take one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game in Aaron Rodgers versus a Justin Fields start where if you take a look at his 4 games that he's played, a good amount of football. Started in a couple of them, but even in that game against Cincinnati, what did he get, Kyle? Maybe a half of a football in that one. Do you know he's averaging 94 yards passing a game? Yeah, that's not a mistake. 94 yards passing a game for Justin Fields. So you're going to line up against Green Bay and throw for 100 yards, you're going to get beat. Now, do I expect this game to be a runaway, Kyle? 31-13 Green Bay? Not necessarily. But there's no way in hell the Bears will ever get my money being a team that throws for 100 yards or less. Green Bay or nobody for me here.
Yeah, Green Bay or nobody, and this game scares the absolute hell out of me. It really does, because trusting the Packers to cover on the road is a scary,
tough one,
scary proposition. It really is. And I mean, we've seen them against bad teams. The Saints, I think the Saints are a bad team now. They're not very good. They got absolutely destroyed. They go on the road against a Bengals team that they should have beaten by 30 points. Of course, Mason Crosby leaves 4,000 points on the field, and, it's just a pathetic display of kicking. Thank you so much, Mason Crosby. And it's a push. They only win by 3.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, there's no way I'm betting on the Bears with the way this offense. I mean, when you rewatch that game, it's just painful to watch. And you're right. You're like, how in the hell did this happen? I think a lot of that might be due. There was a lot more going on in that locker room than we actually knew was going on, and maybe there was a little bit of distractions there.
I love the comment in the chat box. So I'm going to get after in a second. Go ahead.
You're part of the John Gruden PR team, so you know everything that was going on. You have some inside stuff there. I don't. Obviously, I stayed away from that. But it's Packers or bust. You can't trust the Bears right now, but it does have a little bit of a trap feel to it. So I'm a little bit nervous about it. I was thinking about putting this as part of my pick 6, and it still might make it. But Green Bay, if I'm betting this game, I'm not doing a full unit on it because I just don't trust Green Bay enough on the road, as bad as the Bears actually are.
You know what I have in this game, Kyle? The pick 6 contest. I have the under 44.5 in this one.
There you go.
I see that. Yeah, I just don't see a lot of scoring. Jimmy Legg says, hey, it's Rodgers, Jones, and Adams. That's it. Yeah. All-pro quarterback, Hall of Famer, all-pro wide receiver, probably Hall of Famer, and Jones is a good running back. That's way more than the Bears have. Yeah. Like, it's not so much that we're hating on the Bears per se. It's just that when you just think it out and just take everything out of the equation, right? Forget about the Bears record. And I tell you straight up, you're going to have a quarterback that's not ready to be a quarterback. He has no weapons to throw to, and he's going to play against a competent offense. I can't any way, shape, or form, unless you're just a contrarian that says, like, I'm just going to bet against it. The Bears are horrendous, but I'm still going to take them, and that's your angle in this game? Well, then that's your angle in the game. I just can't take a football team that can't throw the football forward. They don't have a forward pass. I can't take them here. It's that simple.
Yeah, and no Damian Williams now, so it's that young kid Herbert who, when you watch it, he kind of stood out a little bit when he came in. I was like, hey, this kid's not all that bad when he was running. Those 2 running backs were and the ineptitude of Derek Carr are why they won that game. But Herbert doesn't look terrible, and we all know the Packers struggle against the run. It is the best way to beat them. That secondary is very, very beat up for the Packers. But my God, how is Justin Fields going to take advantage of it? They just don't seem to have any sort of competent game plan in place. They look lost offensively. It is Packers or bust, but it does make me nervous. That's for sure.
It does. It looks too good to be true. It's almost like last week the Packers say, why are they only favored by 3? Well, they ended up winning by 3 points, and it took overtime and missed field goals, and it was a lot of fun, which cost me a little bit of money there that we weren't able to make a field goal late for the Cincinnati Bengals. But that's neither here nor there. It's just as simple for me. I don't want to overcomplicate games. I got Aaron Rodgers. You got Justin Fields. I'll take Aaron Rodgers. Simple as that. Let's get to Washington here, Kyle. This is a fascinating game. 1 o'clock here on Sunday, 2:57, 2:58. Kansas City, Washington, Mahomes, and Heineke. How about this over-under, right? Starts around that 53, 54 range. We're now seeing 55.5 and about a touchdown favorite across the board, roughly 6.5. Sometimes when you look at the Chiefs, you're like, boy, they should be able to light it up on offense. And Kyle, I think they will. But at the same time, do you trust the Chiefs to get stops on defense? I mean, look, it's not the Bills coming to town, right? It's not the Cleveland offense. There is a downgrade with Washington's offense. But at the same time, if you can't get a pass rush on a mobile quarterback, he's going to have time to throw. And we've seen the Washington football team against good defenses move the football, and that's all you're asking for. So from a betting profile in this game, I know where you're going with this, and I completely agree with you. If you look at Kansas City and you say, oh, I don't want to bet against Kansas City, right? Because they should score points and eventually they're going to catch fire. I understand that. They're an under 500 football team. Bill Parcells always told you, Kyle, you are what your record tells you are. You're not a good football team right now. But even if you have that phobia in your head, like I just can't bet against the Chiefs because they score just about every time they have the football, well, then don't. Just take a look at the Washington football team here. If you think that the Chiefs are going to score a lot of points. Look at their team total. If you think the Chiefs are going to score a lot, which means Washington, if they want to hang around, need to score a lot and maybe score in the fourth quarter while they're down 14 points. Remember the Philadelphia Eagles, 22 points coming into the fourth quarter. They score early, and then late when the game was out of whack, they throw a late touchdown pass in that game. That can happen in this as well, because I always like to look at this game and say, all right, if I like Washington's team total here, or if I like Washington's side better. If you look at this football game, Con, I told you, right now, Washington's going to score 17 points. Did they cover this game?
No. I mean,
exactly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Washington won't if they score 17 points. But
exactly.
The Chiefs, I don't know if the Chiefs could hold a Pee Wee football team to 17 points. I honestly don't. And You're right. So
now hold on, real quick.
Ahead.
I'm going to throw this question back to you. So if they get 17 points, they're not going to hit their team total. They're not even going to cover the game. Now, if Washington scores 24 points, which hits their team total, there's no guarantee that they even cover the spread here as an underdog. So why even worry about going up against the spread? What's more likely to happen, Kyle? 17 or 24, and you could take it away here for the Washington football team.
24 for me, and in fact, you can put the seal of approval up. I love the Washington team total.
Get it, Esteban. Slap it up there.
For me, this game was very, very simple. These two defenses are second and sixth in terms of most yards allowed this season. The Chiefs' defense is second, and Washington is sixth. We thought Washington's defense would be good. They are not. They are absolutely atrocious. The Chiefs do not cover touchdown spreads at home against lesser teams, and now you want me to take them by a touchdown on the road? No, that's just not going to happen. I don't know why anyone would touch a side in this game. For me, it's two offenses that are going to move the ball. So I went there and I said, which team has the lower team total? And that's the one I took. You can get it over 22.5 at -140 over at BetMGM. The reason I like that, Dustin Hopkins cannot make extra points. This guy drives me absolutely insane. So instead of playing through the 24, 3 touchdowns and a field goal, I'm giving myself to 23 just in case he decides to miss another extra point. Yeah. They can still get that field goal and get there. If I was picking a side, I would take Washington to cover because I've just seen no proof that the Chiefs can cover these touchdown spreads, and they're just always overvalued in the markets. But for me, this one was really easy. That Chiefs defense absolutely stinks. And look, Washington's off. I heard I was doing a show with somebody, and they're talking about how the Washington offense stinks. Like, what are you talking about? This team is moving the ball up and down the field. Tyler Heinicke, I think, is a solid quarterback, and I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick gets that job back when he is healthy. Heinicke has played very, very well. The running game of Gibson, we know the Chiefs can't stop the run. Their secondary is atrocious. McLaurin's going to have advantages out there. Hopefully Curtis Samuel can make the field this week. But for me, it's hard to imagine Washington at home not getting the 23 points. So I took that team total over 22.5 -140, and it gets my seal of approval.
Yeah, and you take a look at the football team in this game also, Kyle, because you're taking a look at, like, I wouldn't even worry so much because a lot of times you don't want to bet through those numbers. Now, if you get 23.5, and that's fine because you always want to be 24 or below. It just makes sense. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. But also keep in mind, the teams that do well against the Kansas City Chiefs in a spread that's 55 or a total that's like 55.5, they're going to go for a lot of fourth downs here. So they're looking for touchdowns as opposed to more field goals. So even if you do get a bum rap and it's 24.5, I wouldn't worry all that much about it because you don't win and beat the Chiefs by kicking field goals. You win by staying aggressive and matching their touchdown drives, which is good. So if you're a team total backer or even a total backer for the game, going for more fourth downs where you might not get those 2 extra field goals, but if you score a touchdown instead of those 2 extra field goals, that's plus 1 point. Last time I checked here, 7 as opposed to 6 with 2 field goals. So just keep an eye on that one. I do think both of these offenses will be able to score here. And also, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not going to be at this football game, back on IR. We'll see who picks up the slack here at the running back position, but another explosive player that's down on the Kansas City Chiefs. Vikings and the Panthers. Very simple cap for me, Kyle. And you're seeing more and more as the information. This is why I love the Thursday show. A lot of things are coming out right now as we're on here. Who's practiced, who's out, who looks like they're going to play. Cousins on the mound, Cousins at quarterback versus Sam Darnold. We've seen this number open up at 1.5 offshore, Kyle, here at Pinnacle as a favorite to Carolina. We also see it 1 at the FanDuel Sportsbook when they opened last Sunday for the Carolina Panthers. Now what are we seeing? 2s across the board, 1.5. Why is that? Very simple. Dalvin Cook is practicing, Kyle, and Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey, who practiced limited yesterday, was not seen to practice and did not play today. Never a good sign, specifically with a hamstring injury. You know what that usually means? He went out, worked out on it on yesterday, came back to the facility this morning. Hey, guys, I'm a little bit stiff today. He looks like he's probably on track to miss this week, or if he does play, he is going to be very limited. That's all I need to say. I trust Kirk Cousins, crazy as it sounds. He's a pretty good regular season quarterback, much more than I do Sam Darnold. Dalvin Cook is going to be in the game. Christian McCaffrey is not. Did you see that offense last week operate? Hey, Chuba Hubbard had a nice day, but Sam Darnold couldn't, get his way out of a paper bag in the second half and had 3 interceptions in that game. Simple cap for me. Give me Minnesota. Dalvin looks like he's going to play. Christian McCaffrey doesn't.
Yeah, and look, has there been a running back in recent memory that was more important to a team's offensive success than Christian McCaffrey is?
Like it.
You just can't rely on Sam Darnold. I like to call him the Lego policeman, and if you just go look at a picture of him and then pull up a Lego policeman, you will see they look exactly the same. And Jokes, you're absolutely right. These two quarterbacks have the 2 most punchable faces since Eli Manning left the NFL. Absolutely true, no doubt about it. God, do I like trusting Kirk Cousins on the road, outdoors? Not really. But look, it's Sam Darnold and Chuba Hubbard and DJ. I mean, they're going to try to throw the DJ Moore over and over again. He does have a nice matchup with Bashaud Breeland and Peterson. Also, the Vikings defense has been better the past couple of weeks, right?
Yes, it has.
Looked terrible early on, but it's been a little bit better. I like how they looked again. We saw Cleveland put up 42 points against the Chargers defense last week, 11 against the Vikings the week before in a dome. So Vikings defense is coming around here. There's no way I'm backing Sam Darnold without Christian McCaffrey. It's Vikings or bust for me. And at basically a pick 'em at most spots or one. I think the Vikings win this game here. They're just the better team.
Yeah. And Vitale says he sees money coming in on Carolina. How's that possible when it went from -1 to -2 the other direction? So I don't know if that's going to be the case here. But again, you could see money come back in. If we hear Saturday, hey, by the way, McCaffrey was just held out, because we didn't want to use him up in practice and he's full go, that might change the opinion. But I like to keep cap simple sometimes. Give me a really good running back on one side when the other team doesn't have theirs. I'll take them each and every time. Moving on down the list as we go here, keeping it on Sunday, the Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. Real good game here. Justin Herbert versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson wasn't at practice today, but I don't think there's anything really to be alarmed about. -2.5, down from 3s on the opening numbers, and I can see that. The Chargers are here, man. They mean business. They don't care where they play you, who they play at any time. Justin Herbert is going to keep you in this ball game. Now, I don't like the fact that they're not a very good team at stopping the run, something you're going to have to do with Lamar Jackson in the backfield, but really a non-traditional running game now when it used to be, a couple really good backs like Gus Edwards coming after you, J.K. Dobbins coming after you, had Mark Ingram last year, along with Lamar Jackson, like a 3-headed monster. Not the case this year. Seems like they're sort of trying to piecemeal a true running game together. But then again, Lamar Jackson taking that next step and looks actually fairly accurate here as a passer. Had a fantastic game on Monday Night Football, Kyle, against the Indianapolis Colts. So taking a look at this football game here, to me, I do think we get points in this game. Don't get me wrong. But is Baltimore cheaply priced here at home at -2.5? Let's just say you can get it. Or do you trust? Because if you're saying, I want the Chargers, you probably won't need the points here, 2.5. You're thinking they can win outright in this game.
Yeah, and I do think they can win outright. I think they're the better team. I am not impressed with Baltimore one bit. I know it was a nice little comeback against the Colts. But look, if the Colts are going to score, 28, 27 points on Baltimore, what is this Chargers offense going to do? You can get an alternate team total over 23.5 at -150 at BetMGM. I love the Chargers team total this week. Do I care if they win? Yeah. The reason I'm not going to take a side here, and I do think the Chargers are a better team, it does make you nervous when you get these West Coast teams coming off an emotional, high-paced game, going West Coast to East Coast in a tough place to play in Baltimore in that early window. It makes you nervous to take a side here. Why mess with a side? Both of these teams should be able to score. I like the Chargers team total over 23.5. It's one of my favorite team totals this week. It may end up getting that seal of approval on Sunday. I haven't pulled the trigger just yet. Baltimore's team total is so much higher. I mean, we're looking at 26.5 -130. So they're valuing the Ravens defense a little bit more than the Chargers. I think the Chargers have a better defense than Baltimore does. That Baltimore defense has not looked good. The Chargers do struggle a little bit against the run. Obviously, the Browns, I was stunned to see that total in that game. We were talking about how boring the Browns are, and they put up 42 points. Might be a little bit fluky here, but for me, I'll take that Chargers team total. I'll buy it down to 23.5 at -150 over at BetMGM.
All right, there we go. Let's get to the next game on the board. One that I'm very interested in here, 263, 264, Cincinnati and Detroit. Joe Burrow versus Jared Goff. 3.5s across the board in this one. 47.5s and 47s as a total. I like Cincinnati in this game. And it's not to say that, Cincinnati hasn't really been overpowering just yet. They're beating the teams they're supposed to, but yet not beating teams like the Green Bay Packers, where to be the next level football team, you got to win that game at home. Nice win opening day against the Minnesota Vikings. I thought that was a good game. They had to come back up off the turf to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. But when I look at this game overall, it's not so much to me, Kyle, about what Cincinnati can do. It's what Detroit's defense can't do, and that's stop wide receivers. So if I'm going to look at this football game in a dome, So maybe your kicker won't have the wind swirling and doing high fives when the ball's about to split the uprights and takes a left turn at the last minute. Maybe those 57-yarders and 50-yarders will go through the uprights. But even though you did get a little bit of bad information today, or should I say bad injury information, that Joe Mixon didn't practice today after practicing yesterday, we'll see what happens on Friday. You still should be able to do whatever you want against that Detroit team. So for myself, I did play already the team total over for the Cincinnati Bengals at 24 points at -145 at Caesars here. I think they win this football game. I think they will be in the 20s. But the cap comes down to simply for me, Detroit's not going to give up. I like the way they're playing under their head coach with Dan Campbell, but they're just not as talented. And they're not talented in the secondary, which is devastating. When you're going to have Jamar Chase, who looks like the next coming of Jerry Rice out here, dominating every single week. T. Higgins, a very good wide receiver, and one of the better slot receivers in the game, and Tyler Boyd. Everything is working well. He's almost a decent tight end. And even if you don't have Mixon at running back, which you really didn't have much of last week, you're getting 4.4 yards per carry out of that Detroit defense. That's all you need to see. But also look at the passing game, Kyle, for them. 9.3 yards, not per completion, per pass attempt you're getting versus the Detroit secondary. Obviously, you're not going to have to worry about any conditions here. I think Joe Burrow has a great football game on offense. I would like to get a running mate out of Detroit. I need them to be around that 17 points to 20-point number, which would be fantastic. But there's no reason to believe for me, A, that Cincinnati goes in and beats Detroit, and B, scores enough points to hit their team total, which sits at 24. So anything above that will get the victory. I just like the look of that offense, and I think they could score points here against a very, very bad defense here in the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'm with you here, and I don't really want to take a side in this game. Like, there's no way I want to trust Detroit. I don't like the Bengals as much on the road. We saw them sort of, when they went to Chicago playing another bad team on the road. It wasn't as well. Now, again, Chicago's a tougher place to play than Detroit. Obviously, we have the dome. There's no weather. Oh, yeah, Chicago, even though their defense isn't the monsters of the Midway anymore, they're certainly better than Detroit, who is probably the worst defense in the league. Right up there with the Jacksonvilles and the Chiefs and God, I guess Washington as well, which is kind of shocking to say with all that talent. But I'm with you. I think the team total for the Bengals is the way to go here. There's nothing in that secondary to stop these guys. Joe Burrow looks like he is going to play. I know he got hit in the throat and he's not allowed to talk a lot this week, but he's good to go. His arm's fine, his knee's fine, his ankle's fine. That Lions defense can't do anything. I wanted to take a lower team total on Detroit, but I'm not getting trapped into that anymore. They just cannot score in the red zone. Jared Goff is so putrid in the red zone. I mean, if you can, whatever the bet is for the Lions to get a turnover, over a half turnover, 1.5 turnovers, you may as well jump on that because they are so lost. Dan Campbell, a real rah-rah guy, they're going to try. But they don't know what the hell they're doing. I mean, it's just when you rewatch the game, you're like, what the hell is going on? What is this play call? What the hell is Jared Goff doing?
And Cephas got injured. Like, they're one good wide out, too.
Yeah, Quintez Cephas is gone. So it's Bengals or bust here. If you're taking a side, I would take the Bengals, and I agree with you. I like that Bengals team total over. I'm seeing 23.5 -160, 24.5 -125. I agree. Over 24 points for the Bengals this week.
Yeah, I split the juice difference there at Caesars because you could have got either one of those. I just wanted to keep it under 150, took it at 24. We'll see what happens. And you do worry about missing an extra point, but you worry a little bit less since it's in a dome. So I think we'll be okay in that game.
Kicker's pretty good for the Bengals, that young kid McPherson. I mean, I know he missed a long one last week.
He's got a massive leg. And
yes, he does.
Missed his last two. But hey, what are you going to? You're going to fault that 57-yarder off the upright. It happens in life. And then the other one was 49, which was hilarious that he nailed that thing so pure and turned around. It's like, what the hell happened here? Why did
he thought he made it.
Well, I was thinking the same thing at that time. All right, over to the Meadowlands, the Rams and the Giants. Looks like Daniel Jones is probably going to play. We don't know who else is going to play behind him. Basically double digits across the board. This one, 48.5. I'm not going to have a wager on this one, but I do think the Rams beat the Giants fairly easily in this one because, one, Daniel Jones probably still have some cobwebs. Two, that offensive line stinks. And three, who the hell is going to be catching the football and running the football for the Giants? The last thing I want that to be is against a Rams team that should be fired up, ready to come in and rested off of beating the Seattle Seahawks the previous Thursday night. So you have a lot of time off. I think the Rams win this game fairly easily. Don't have to cap too much of this one for me.
Yeah, I mean, I won't touch this game either. I mean, West Coast to East Coast, double-digit favorites. But, let's not kid around here. Daniel Jones is exponentially worse at home than he is on the road. They'd have a better chance of covering if this game was in L.A. Rams, much better up and down the field. You mentioned the terrible offensive line, the great defensive line for the Rams. Long Sunday for the Giants. This could be a nice teaser spot, teasing this down to 4.5. The Rams should get this done by a touchdown. I'm just not going to touch that double-digit spread, but there's no way you could back the Giants against the Rams right now.
Yeah, you're looking at possibly all three starting wide receivers down, your starting quarterback, and your starting running back. No thanks whatsoever. And man, if Danny Dimes gets back in there, well, I don't know what kind of upgrade that is over anybody anyway, but you're also taking a look at a guy who knows, hey, maybe you shouldn't run as much this week when that's basically what Danny Dimes does really well. We'll see if that becomes a factor here, but not the best team to go up against. But I won't be probably participating in that. Here's a game that's just got really interesting even this afternoon, Kyle. Taking a look here between Arizona and Cleveland, 267-268. As we look at this one between the Arizona Cardinals and the Cleveland Browns, 3s and some 3.5s across the board. Over-under dropping from 53.5 down to that 49. That's just because the wind's going to be whipping a little bit in Cleveland this weekend. Keep an eye on that over the next 48 hours. They're anticipating like 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, and then that means probably gusts of 30 to 35 miles an hour. That could wreak some havoc. But not good news today if you're looking to take the Cleveland Browns here. Both Chubb and Hunt back-to-back missed days of practice with different ailments. Keep in mind, make sure you watch tomorrow for that practice report or Saturday. But anytime you're missing back-to-back practices during the week, that's never a good thing. That means that, you'll show up on Sunday and they're playing, but they are nicked up as is. And that's going to be the key to the control of this game if you want to back, obviously, the Cleveland Browns. But also keep in mind, DeAndre Hopkins, back-to-back missed practices due to a sickness. So if he doesn't come to town, that's a lot of what the Arizona Cardinals like to do when all else fails. Well, you can throw it up to D-Hop, and he'll come down with that ball. If he's not there, then you're leaning on A.J. Green as if it's 2015 again when it's 2021. So I'm going to abstain from this game here because I need to see more. But if I get a healthy Cleveland ball club coming into Sunday, Kyle, they will beat the Arizona Cardinals and cover that line.
Yeah, I don't like this COVID list stuff. I don't like the wind that they're saying is going to be there. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. Keep in mind, I was looking at the well-renowned meteorologist who can't seem to get anything right here, but it does look like there's a chance to have some strong wind gusts. If you remember back to last year, this happens in Cleveland quite a bit, and they had that 3-game stretch where the weather was just awful and really windy, and that Browns offense couldn't do anything. So I'm looking at this total of 49. Got a banged-up Hopkins. We don't know who these 3 players are in COVID. We could have a win situation. Kyler Murray, a little bit banged up. Maybe the under 49.5 here makes a lot of sense, especially if you're going to get that wind. I know these offenses have been explosive, especially last week with Cleveland, Arizona, not so much against the 49ers, but they've shown that they can score points. But if you're going to get those conditions and some banged-up players, especially if it's really windy, the Browns will not let Baker Mayfield throw. It's going to be run, 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 and run. And you miss your number 1 wide receiver, and DeAndre Hopkins could make things a little interesting. So I'd lean the under 49.5 here. If I'm picking a side, there's a trend out here. Undefeated teams going on the road who are underdogs have won, covered the spread 5 straight times and won 4 of those 5 outright. This scenario seems a little bit more difficult to me. I think they're going to struggle against the run there. But again, we need more information before you can confidently bet this game. Let's see who else is on this COVID list, who's out, who's in. A lot of question marks here, but right now as we sit, I lean Cleveland at home, and I lean that under 49.5.
Yeah, and also Bears practice report came out today. Back-to-back no practices for Khalil Mack. Back-to-back no practices for Akeem Hicks. Back-to-back no practices for Allen Robinson II. So we'll see who gets to the starting gate there for the Bears. And, of course, Friday, always the biggest day on the practice reports. You don't play Friday. It's basically 95% you are not going to play on Sunday. So keep in mind when you check that out here. Let's go to the Raiders and the Broncos. Another interesting one here. Why? The Denver Broncos go into the Vegas Raiders go into Denver without their head football coach, without the guy that sets the lineup, without the guy that sets the actual game plan. Basically, their entire organization was run through John Gruden, and he won't be there this weekend. Will that be a positive? Maybe so, but I don't think so. If I'm looking at this game overall, Kyle, but the reason being that's interesting because it's still the NFL, right? We looked last week. Remember, we said, man, I think Arizona Cardinals beat up the San Francisco 49ers fairly easily. And then you look at the line like, well, it's only 5.5. It's not 15.5. Same way here. You look at this game and you go, Denver's going to beat the Vegas Raiders. There's no question in my mind. And you slide across to the odds like, well, why is it only 3.5 now? That is a field goal. So if this game was in Vegas, Vegas would be favored in this football game. So 44.5 across the board in this one. I was initially looking towards, Kyle, a Denver Broncos team total to the over because I think they will have the ability to score. If you look at every game Teddy Bridgewater has played the majority of the game, they do move the football close to 375 yards last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. They should be able to score in this game, but I sort of backed away because I don't want to get caught up in the Vegas Raiders having a resurgence or, maybe Denver just saying we don't have to score that many points because the Vegas Raiders offense is an absolute mess from the past 2 weeks. A little bit tougher later in the week for me. But if we had to pick a side, which we do on each and every game, I think the Denver Broncos get a win and cover, but I'm not as confident as I was a couple days ago. Could change here when we see some final practice reports, though.
I think you're right. Look, this has trap written all over it, right? Everyone's down on the Raiders. No coach. They've lost their last 2 games. They're a team in turmoil. The strength of that team is throwing the ball to, the tight ends, et cetera, and that's not going to happen against Denver Broncos, who have a terrific secondary and a good pass rush. You're like, God, is this a trap, sort of like that Broncos-Ravens game a couple weeks back? You're like, wait, everything points to Denver. We're buying a little bit. We're selling, we're buying high on Denver, and Baltimore comes out and, mops the floor with them.
Yeah.
It does feel like a trap. There's no way I'm backing the Raiders right now until I see what this team looks like without Gruden. So right now I would lean Denver, but it does have a little bit of a trap on it. One of those inspirational, Brett Favre Monday Night Football after his dad dies type of games. So I'm a little bit nervous here.
Light them up.
But I do like the Broncos here. They have the better defense. I think Teddy Bridgewater's better than Derek Carr. I'm not a big Derek Carr fan. I like the weapons for Denver. Lean the Broncos here, but there's something fishy in the air. I don't know what it is, but something smells fishy with this game, so I'm staying the hell away from it. But if I had to pick a side, which we do, taking Denver.
All right, next game up here, 425 on Sunday, 271, 272, Dallas and New England, which last year with Tom Brady would have been a very intriguing, or 2 years ago with Tom Brady would have been very intriguing here. But now you're going to get Mac Jones at home. That line opened up at FanDuel as a -1 towards the Dallas Cowboys. Now we sit at 3.5, some threes on the board here as we sit on Thursday afternoon, 50.5 as a total. The Dallas Cowboys are very good. The New England Patriots, you don't really know what you get on a week-to-week basis, and quite frankly, they should have lost that game to the Houston Texans. Yeah, they should have lost that game last week, but somehow pulled it out. If you need to pull out games against the Houston Texans, it's not really the greatest thing to look forward to. But having said that, Bill Belichick is a good defensive coordinator. I'm sure he's going to have a pretty good game plan. But having said that, Kyle, if the Dallas Cowboys come into this game healthy, where we're not going to have Zeke Elliott missing this game, Pollard missing this game, a hamstring injury today or tomorrow out of Amari Cooper, and he's not going to be able to start, I don't see what's changing here for me. They should have beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers opening night on the road. They should be unbeaten. They've beaten some good football teams. They've soundly beaten some bad football teams. New England is an okay team at this point right now. If I'm going to see a 3 on the board, I don't care if it's sharp, not sharp, marble, square, rhombus, parallelogram, whatever you want to call it. I'm still going to take the Dallas Cowboys at 3.
Yeah, go ahead and throw that seal of approval up because I love the Cowboys -3. It's actually at 4 a couple days ago, so I don't know why it's moved to 3.5. I think people still freak out about the Patriots at home and the Belichick thing. This Patriots team stinks. They should have lost to the Houston Texans last week in Davis Mills.
Yep.
The offense is putrid. They can't do anything. I don't like anything they're doing outside of a couple nice plays of the tight ends. Their defense is not the same scary defense. Dallas is going to score on whoever they want. I love the Cowboys here, -3.5. It'll be in my pick 6 once I get that done. It's my favorite side of the week. Probably the only side I will mess around with outside of a team total. To me, this number is wrong. I like it all the way up to it. If this was at 6.5, I would still take Dallas. I think they win this game by a touchdown or more. I just don't see in any way, shape, or form how New England scores enough points to hang with Dallas outside of a snowstorm coming in and slowing down the Dallas offense. That's their only hope in New England. I like the Cowboys here, and I like them a lot.
All right, Sunday night football. Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Russell Wilson versus Ben Roethlisberger. Nope, not so fast. Starting Geno Smith. Actually didn't look awful here in this past week's performance coming in the fourth quarter against the Rams. So now as we take a look, we were hating on Pittsburgh, right? Said, I'll show you, Donnie. We'll come up with a nice little victory here and, blah, blah, blah. But now no longer are the Pittsburgh Steelers getting points, Kyle. They are now playing the favorite here. And the line is increasing throughout the week. -5.5 here for the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Seattle Seahawks. 42.5 is that total. Now, is Geno Smith as good as Russell Wilson? No, absolutely not. Russell Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks in football, surefire Hall of Famer. But you still should be able to move the football here for the Seattle Seahawks. You have great wide receivers. If Chris Carson, which I'm waiting on this, now it stinks because I'm on East Coast time and Seattle practices obviously a lot later than the East Coast teams do. The key to me in this game, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I almost bet it already. Fox Bet is sitting here at a minus 154 of a team total for Seattle, Kyle, at 16.5 right now. I was like, you know what? I want to push that button. I want to press it right now. They can get 17 points. But I still want to make sure that all my ducks are in a line here. So if you're telling me I'm going to get DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, my tight end coming back from COVID, a week and a half of practice as a starter for Geno Smith, and Chris Carson coming back in this game with Collins as the backup, they're going to score 17 points this weekend. I just want to make sure. So to keep it simple for me in this football game, so I think the Steelers should be able to win this game. Yes, I do. So I think there's a possibility that you might be looking in over 42.5. Yes. But if I'm going to get a depressed total on a game where I can get a 16.5, somewhere around minus 150, I'm going to take that all day long. So if you guys out there see that Carson is practicing and he's ready to go, pretty good chance that DRS is going to fire on Sunday Night Football with a team total on the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, yikes. I think this is a nice teaser spot for the Steelers. I mean, why mess around with the 5? We've seen them underwhelm against bad teams before, and I can't trust Geno Smith. He didn't look all that bad. When you rewatch that game, he actually played fairly well when he came in. I was getting nervous about that Rams cover because I had him minus, I think we had it at 2.5 or 3.5 in the pick 6. I think we both had that. And I was getting a little bit nervous because Geno Smith was moving the ball. He had some sound throws. He didn't look lost in the offense. Looks like he knew what's going on there. So I think that's an interesting look. I like the Steelers as a teaser option, getting a point if you get them +1. I do think they win at home. It's a tough defense to go up against in your first start, and God knows how long, since he got punched in the face by his teammate, in the Jets. I mean, it's been a long time since Geno Smith was a starting quarterback here. I lean the Steelers. I probably won't have any money on this game, but I'll keep an eye. If I see that 16.5, and I wasn't all that discouraged by what I saw out of Geno Smith when he came in, and you rewatch that game, he actually made some impressive throws. So I think that's a nice spot to do it. Let's not forget, those depressed team totals. We had the Giants 16.5, and there was the Texans. Both easily got there. 16.5 is a number that almost every NFL team can get to against any defense. So I think that makes a ton of sense.
Yes, and that's the way you're looking at it here, because if everybody just took the same outlet like that, I can't, like I see in the chat box, no Geno Smith, no chance for the Seahawks. The Seahawks get blown out. I don't care if they get blown out. But when you're talking about an NFL team with a veteran quarterback to get 17 points, I mean, it's legitimate that it happens. Now, let's take a look here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because do they have a good defense? Yes, but let's keep in mind they give up 260 yards per game passing, which includes 7.2 yards per attempt. And when you take a look at last week with Teddy Bridgewater, they threw for 244 last week. Green Bay game before that, 220. Or excuse me, let me look at the defensive stats. I apologize here. Denver threw for 268. Green Bay threw for 236. Cincinnati for 172. Vegas 373. And Buffalo 254. If you could tell me right now Geno Smith can throw for 250 yards, they're going to get the 17 points in that game. No question in my mind. It's not a team starting Geno Smith with a terrible out. You're talking about Pro Bowl wide receivers and running backs here that you can do some damage with. And what's the best part about that as well, Kyle? Seattle's defensive secondary stinks. Come on, Pittsburgh. Get into the high 20s in this game. I would love it. Why? Because then you can get a junk touchdown here at a Geno late. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Who cares if Seattle wins? If they get 17 points, you can earn yourself some money in that game. So that'll do it here for the card all the way across the board. Let's have some fun now with our seal approval plays for the week, just to round up what we just went over here. I'm going to have 3 team totals this week, no question in my mind. And when I come on the Thursday show, I always like to have at least one of them made up here. And as I said, 24 points here out of the Bengals at 145 at Caesars. That's the first game. I will add 2 more, and I already tipped my hand here on that Seattle Seahawks game. Give me a healthy Chris Carson, and we are going to party in the city of Pittsburgh for that. So, Kyle, your seal of approval plays here so far for the week before Sunday.
I got that Washington team total over 22.5 at minus 140 over at BetMGM. I just don't see a way where they don't get to 23 points against that dreadful Chiefs defense. And, of course, I think the line's too short here. I got the Cowboys minus 3.5 over the Patriots. I normally don't like sides, but when I rewatched that tape, I was trying to find a reason why this was a trap, and there isn't one. The Patriots stink, plain and simple, and the Cowboys do not. We talked a lot of smack on the Cowboys before the season, but they have been fantastic. They can beat anybody, score on anybody. I think the Cowboys cover relatively easily against the Patriots this week.
Yeah, I got a couple games circled, so we're going to have fun. And as always, guys, when you check, hey, Donnie, missed the show, missed the plays, what do you got out here? You guys know I like to save a little bit for the shows that we have, but my full card will be out before the Sunday show. And maybe on the Sunday show, if we find something, we always give out prop plays, additives, get you guys caught up on everything. But always check our Twitter accounts here at DFS Bachelor for Kyle, at RightSide VP for myself. Full card that we always know, like, hey, it's Saturday, it's in the middle of the night. I wonder what Donnie's on. Do I want to call him on the phone? No. Do I want to send him a DM? Don't worry about it. Just go to my Twitter feed here. It'll be up there under
You'll
the
get the
tweets.
DMs anyways.
I will get the DMs anyway. Yeah.
The DMs
What do you think about this number, Donnie? Do you like this? I know you took it at 24. Do you like it at 25.5? I get it. You guys, my DMs are always open. I love to help the people out. Man of the people here, Kyle. Now, let's get the Pick 6 contest plays, which Kyle, I think, is delaying this and just not feeling like doing it right away because he doesn't want to give away the secrets of his 5-0-1 week last week, so he's going to save it. Here's my Pick 6 contest plays for this week. Houston and Indianapolis, the over 43. Minnesota, -1. That is my 2 times bet game here in the SBR contest. Cincinnati, -3.5. Cleveland, -3, which that's already locked in here. If I get no running backs in that game, I'm going to be pretty pissed off, but it is what it is. Seattle, +5. How about that? And then also Green Bay under 44.5, Kyle. Where do you think you're going, I guess I can say, on your pick?
I swear I'm trying to. It just won't let me right now. I don't know what the hell is going on. So let me go off the top of my head. We know the Cowboys -3.5. That'll be there. I will most likely have the Vikings -1.5, -2, somewhere in there. I will have that. I will probably go the under 49.5 in that Arizona-Cleveland game. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather situation there. We'll probably do a little sprinkle here on Denver, -3.5. I'll probably go there. And Green Bay, as much as I don't like it, -5 because Chicago stinks. How many is that? Was that 5? So one more. My goodness here. I guess I will go Buffalo -5.5 on Monday night. I think they beat the brakes off of Tennessee.
There you go. All right. Kelsey Kramer ready to join the show today, the First Lady of Football here at sportsbookreview.com, and kicking our butts here in the Pick 6 contest. But I got to say, I'm 175th out of 1106, 17-12-1, so close to 59%. I will take that each and every week. Now, welcome to the show, Kelsey. What are your statistics in the Pick 6 contest?
Yep, I was 190 overall last week, but number 34 overall.
No, but I'm coming back. I'm 5-1. I'm only 3.5 back. After this week, I might be tied with you. I mean, that's how good I'm going to do this week.
It's your last minute. It's fine. We work really hard for these picks, Donnie and I.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the LA cap on.
I'm the returning champion. Where's my belt?
Well.
I'm the returning show champion.
Nobody remembers last year. Nobody remembers last year.
Dang.
About that. All right, let's get to the Pick 6 contest here and have some fun with Kelsey's picks. And also, as I said, she's kicking our butt right now. So we do wish we are hating a little bit here on her, hoping that she goes 0-6 so we can reclaim the crown here. But let's start with Thursday night football in the city of brotherly love tonight. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, come to town here. And quite frankly, Brady with the Patriots, you had a lot of success outside the Super Bowl against the Eagles, coming in with a much better team than the Eagles have, roughly a touchdown dog home team for the Eagles. Where are we looking tonight in Thursday Night Football, Kelsey?
Yeah, Donnie, I mean, I'm liking your Eagles. They dominated on defense last week.
Tell them.
But Tom Brady put on a GOAT performance, as he should have. And we watched both the Cowboys and the Chiefs dominate the Eagles. So I'm rolling with this Bucs team. They're looking hot, and I know it's hard to play in Philly.
How'd you know I changed my name to Bucs team? I changed my name to Bucs team. How'd you know? Good job. Okay. Anyway.
Hair's growing in. Hair's growing in very well.
Thank you. I'm taking hair pills. I got these new hair pills, and I'm taking them, so I'm feeling really good about the hairline right now.
Your eyes look good, too.
Thank you.
Send that cream out there.
That's the semen tea.
She'll like it, too, Kyle.
She'll like it, too. There you go.
But I like the Bucs by a touchdown easily.
I agree.
Look, don't make me. I'll go right back there and get that Super Bowl trophy that tells you that the Eagles can handle Tom Brady anywhere at any time here. Next game up, and I do agree with you on this one. Going down to Carolina, Sam Darnold versus Kirk Cousins in this one here. So we have the Vikings and the Carolina Panthers. Small line on this one. Christian McCaffrey looks like he might not be playing Sunday, which is massive for that offense for the Carolina Panthers. Where are you going here? On the road with Kirk Cousins or home versus Sam Darnold?
I like the Vikings on the road. I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, and Dalvin Cook was back at practice this week, which means he should be good to go on Sunday. And Christian McCaffrey, like you said, is possibly missing this game, and that's their guy. We've realized that now. They can't do much without Christian.
No, they certainly can't do much without Christian. Now, also taking a look at a team that probably can't do much without their starting quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, but the Kansas City Chiefs got filleted on Sunday Night Football as Buffalo went up and down the field, did whatever they wanted to. Now they're heading on the road against the Washington Football Team, the defense known as a sieve here. But the problem is, it's not so much that the Kansas City Chiefs scoring points, it's can they stop anybody in this game versus the football team, which it's hilarious that they're retiring Sean Taylor's number, but just told the fans like 2 days ago. And is there a reason why the Washington Football Team has the lowest attendance in the National Football League and just try to throw a scam out there, like come out to the ballpark and we'll retire Sean Taylor's number? That's for another show. But looking at this game here, Kansas City and Washington, Kelsey, where are you going?
Yeah, maybe if they leak some more of the cheerleader photos, they can get more fans in stands. But
now Kyle would buy season tickets for that. Yeah.
Well,
I like the Chiefs here. I think they're going to bounce back, and if they don't, then Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid lose a lot of credibility to those past Super Bowl appearances, and they need to. And I think this is the time they can against a bad Washington defense. And yeah, the Chiefs defense doesn't look any better, but at least they have the weapons on the offense to outscore the Washington Football Team. I keep wanting to say the R word.
I mean,
whoa.
Chiefs can get it done.
Just don't say it in an email, okay? Just don't say. By the way, I don't understand the communicating with your friends via email. You ever go, hey, you know what? I need to see what Brad's doing. Let me shoot him a quick email. It's such a weird, old-timey, moronic thing to do. You're just asking to get caught. I don't get it. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, that's what you do. Kyle's been known to get called on many different things here, but also, like, remember, Kyle, we talk about the Washington Football Team. Yeah, we're not going to pick a name because it's so hard. It takes like 5 years to come up with a nickname, and they were hoping that they would actually have a really good football season this year where most people would say, hey, why we can't give up the name now? We made the playoffs. So hopefully in the future, the Washington Football Team will have a new owner and a new name and maybe a different color scheme because it's not working, Kyle. There are, 30 teams in the NFL, 32 teams, whatever it is in the NFL. They are dead last by a large margin. Like the capacity at FedEx Field is like 55% every week, which every NFL stadium basically sells out. Something has to give there. And I love the fact that they're getting so much bad press that the only thing I care about is that they change their stupid name.
Yeah, and remember just a few years back when Washington was sort of competing with Dallas as the most valuable football team, and then they decided to raise a serial killer here and just not give their baby a name for 2 years. Like trust me, if you did that to a kid, you would see them on the Oxygen Network, you would see them on Killer Couples, which is a terrifying show, and the women always get away with it. There's like 10 serial killer women walking the streets right now, so I lock my door every night. I'm much more scared than I used to be. And it's people like the Washington Football Team owners who don't even give their damn team a name. You do that to a baby, they're a serial killer. Facts.
No, certainly factual here. Let's go to Cleveland this weekend. Go ahead, Kyle. What do you got?
No, I don't understand what other name they can come up with. So that's where I'm.
Anything. Just anything.
The Washington Monuments, and I will
be the Washington Toilets if you want, and put a big toilet on their helmet. Be the Washington
Capitals. Just say we can't pick up a name. We're going to be the Nationals. Be like, wait a second. Yeah, we're just going to name us the Nationals, just like the baseball team. Anything but the football. The football team, I can't even believe the NFL. And I've done so many editorial things here and videos on how upset I am at this Washington Football Team name, where some people are, hey, it's a really cool name. No, you have a name of a city, and then you have your nickname. That's the whole point of being a fan. Who's your team? The football team. Yeah, exactly, idiot. What's your team? No, they're the football team. Hey, idiot, what's your team that you cheer for? That's what.
How about the Washington Predators? I mean, I think it fits, right? The entire front office are a bunch of sexual predators. I mean, Washington Predators. It accurately depicts the team.
That's perfect.
And it sounds tough when you go on the road. So there you go, Washington Predators.
You have the play-by-play team. You got to have Chris Wallace in there doing the play-by-play for them. That would make it. Hey, Daniel Snyder, come over here and have a seat.
Marv Albert, there we go.
Marv Albert. Browns this weekend. Big game against the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe some windy conditions here, but the one thing we do know about the Browns, if they are healthy on the offensive line and in the backfield, they can run wild. Are we seeing Arizona continue their winning ways, Kelsey? Or maybe the Cleveland Browns say enough is enough, send you into the loss column, Arizona Cardinals?
I hope the Arizona Cardinals can get a win, but I don't see it happening with the injuries and COVID plaguing their team. Plus, the Cleveland Browns at home, their fans are absolutely insane. I feel like that's got to be hard to play in front of if you don't, have your key guys. But yeah, I think a healthy Cleveland team, and even without a healthy Cleveland team, I think they can beat this Arizona team that is down some guys. But I also like the over. I know Kyle mentioned the wind.
Just check the weather. It could go over. I would before I bet that, I would keep an eye on the weather, because if you are going to have those wind gusts, Cleveland struggles mightily, especially Baker Mayfield. So that makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, but right now I like Cleveland all the way.
Yeah, do your own picks, Kelsey. Kyle's in last place here. Don't listen to that,
Wait,
guys.
I'm on the way up.
Yeah.
I'm on the way up, and I'm the defending champ.
That I was going to say.
There's a belt. I'm getting a belt. That's it. I'm wearing a belt next week. I'm going to have it over my shoulder. Very excited.
Sunday at 4 o'clock, Foxborough. We are going to have the Dallas Cowboys take their show on the road and play the New England Patriots here with Mac Jones, who should have lost last week, Kelsey, to the lowly Houston Texans. Dak Prescott coming to town, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. You got, Zeke Elliott in the backfield, Pollard in the backfield, and you actually are bringing a defense with you. Crazy times here in Dallas. What are we looking for here? The Dallas schedule runs off the tracks here, or the New England Patriots at home can't get the job done? I don't think you heard me and Kyle talk about it here. I'm not going against the Cowboys, but are you going against the Cowboys?
Absolutely not. I mean, as a Falcons fan, it's heartbreaking to see Dan Quinn thriving in Dallas, but I'm rooting for him, and I have been all season. Like you said, this Patriots team looked terrible last week and nearly lost to that David kid who no one has. I don't even know where he went to college. I have no idea who that kid is.
Stanford. Now, he did go to Coastal Carolina, so okay.
Yeah. He's not a Chanticleer, so he's not a genius, but
obviously not. But I like this Cowboys team a lot, and I think that this, it used to be hard to play in New England, but since Tom Brady left, it's a fair field.
Oh, look at that. So there we go. So let's see what happens here in that game. Now, last game we'll talk about here, Sunday Night Football, Geno Smith. I want to get Kelsey's opinion and Kenny's opinion on this one. Who are we taking in this game? Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is Kenny there? He's been traveling.
I don't know.
All over.
He's not here. He came up from Mexico last week. I was talking about meeting him down there. We were going to get some senoritas together, but no, it didn't work out.
Who knows what Kenny is doing? Hopefully something that's not bad. Anyway, I like the Seahawks covering this one. I'm Team Geno Smith. He's in his backyard. He has the tools to do it. I mean, and we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the Cincinnati Bengals at home, and Ben Roethlisberger has been shaky all season. So I'm going to take Smith here.
Wow.
There you go. Contrarian, Kyle. That's how you win championships.
That's right. Being contrarian wins championships, just not in this trio, because I will have the title by the end of the year. I might be first place after this week, after I go 6-0 again.
Nope. It's going to be great when you get locked out and you just take a collar for 0-6 because you couldn't get your plays in this week. So who's ever behind the scenes out there, whatever Kyle's IP address is, just lock it up and say you're working on it. And they say, oh, well, hey, Kyle, where'd you go last week? 0-6. And be like, yep. And that includes your double down game as well. So we'll see what happens on that. But that is the show for this week. Nice, compact hour and 15 minutes. I like the card this week. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Big game tonight in the National Football League. The Eagles and the Patriots. I keep saying the Patriots with Tom Brady, which is crazy. The Eagles and the Buccaneers at Lincoln Financial Field. And contrary to what anybody's telling you, the weather is really nice here in Philadelphia. There's not a hurricane going on out here, as some people led you to believe. Maybe that's a smart move, Kyle, where the bettors out here. Just tell everybody it's so windy, it's going to be crazy. And get a better price on the
I was just reading, the guy. He's supposed to be the man, Kevin Ross.
Was it on Twitter? Like it actually says you.
It was actually at the Roto Grinders weather website, and he was breaking down which games would have bad weather, and that was on the possible yellow to green list. It said sustained 15-mile-an-hour winds with stronger gusts. That was his legit depiction of it. He's wrong. Again, I'm just a deputy. I don't claim to be a weatherman. I'm not Willard Scott.
You know how to ruffle my feathers on that type of stuff here. Because we had somebody last week come on the show and say, there's clear skies for the Buffalo Bills Kansas City game. I saw that one actually worked out. But it is what it is. Everybody loves their weather. You get it from different information. But that'll do it, as I said, for the show. Hopefully we get some good picks in here this week, particularly in the Pick 6 contest. Hoping that Kelsey goes 0-6 and Kyle doesn't even get his plays in. So therefore I'll be the de facto winner of the week once we appear back But it should be a good weekend for NFL Week 6. Keep in mind, once again, people, we're back doing it once again on Sunday for the closing line at 12 noon. We take you right up to 12:59. Best bets, picks, recap the week, late injury information, and also weather conditions. So we got it all covered for you here at sportsbookreview.com. For myself, Donnie RightSide, Kelsey Kramer, and Kyle Purviance, we are the sportsbookreview.com NFL team. And as always tonight, good luck on your wagers.